Game Review. I've had Just Cause 4 for about a week now, and I've had a decent amount of time to play the game, so I can tell you conclusively what's good, what's bad, what I liked, what I didn't, and how the game works. This is my review of Just Cause 4. So let's just jump into it. This game takes what was great about Just Cause 3 and adds to it. If you're 3 minutes into a mission for say and you die, there's no penalty. You don't fail, you just reset at a checkpoint, you get straight back into the action. And this is what the game does well. It doesn't penalise you for dying or failing, it just picks up right where you left off so you can jump back into the game. This might sound like it detracts from the challenge, but it actually doesn't, and it works well to keep the game fast-paced and fun. Fun being the key word. This game is not realistic and it doesn't try to be. It's a fun game to fly around and blow shit up, and it knows it.
I will need to personally climb the structure and manually release the locking clamps on the shield. Then we should be able to dismantle the power...
What if you put a giant gun on the train instead?
Now the map, it works quite differently than in Just Cause 3. No longer do you destroy X amount of structures, liberate, repeat, liberate, repeat, liberate, repeat over and over again until you've unlocked the entire map. This was super repetitive in Just Cause 3 and I'm so glad that they've changed it, because now you have front lines which show up as red X's all around the map at different points. To take a region you need squads, which you earn by leveling up your chaos meter. This is raised by destroying familiar chaos objects, just like in Just Cause 3, and blowing stuff up in general. You can raise it just by causing chaos, so you don't have to go after these structures, but it's a nice nod to Just Cause 3 and a bit of familiarity for people who want to keep doing that sort of thing. Once you have the necessary number of squads, you can take control of the area providing you've completed the region's specific mission. The number on each region tells you how many squads are needed to take the region. Squads advance, and eventually you will see regions have a plus number, meaning you'll get back squads from actually capturing those areas. I think it's a pretty decent system and it works really well. You also get a weapon or vehicle for supply drops each time you capture a new area, and specific regions speed up regen times of different supply drops. All in all, this is definitely an improvement on Just Cause 3. Speaking of supply drops, the system in Just Cause 3 of calling in a drop for 3 weapons at a vehicle for as many beacons as you have has been thrown out the window and replaced by a system of pilots who drop one thing. These pilots can be increased in number if you have a higher squad count, and they have a cooldown period, so which means you can't call in a ton of stuff all at once, but you aren't limited by the amount of beacons you have, and the cooldown even counts down in the menu, so you're not limited by gameplay time. Different drops have different cooldown periods, but say one pilot dropped it badly and you didn't get what you wanted. Each drop can be called in 3 times before that item actually has a cooldown period of its own, so there's actually no problem. I never had an issue with this, and I never had a time when all pilots were on cooldown, so it's a pretty great system, and it doesn't leave you stranded when you need help. Now let's go over the enemies. This game has a more diverse range of enemies than Just Cause 3 did. Normal grunts, who for some reason all seem to be women. Armoured enemies who use a defender to hide behind a shield. Stealthy enemies who turn invisible and are very agile.
Bye-bye!
Snipers, rocket launcher wielders, enemies who are indestructible except for the head, and wardens who possess a railgun and super thick armour. There's many vehicles that they come in as well, from tanks, ATVs, bikes, choppers, jets, and there's even more to go on as well. The game makes it much harder to just waste everybody by giving enemies more firepower, more strengths, and a set of specific weaknesses. This is balanced by giving you more weapons, more agility, and more stuff to help you. In short, the game is harder, but you have more stuff to use. So let's go over the missions. From the main storyline, the things I really liked is that Rico is more mature than he was in Just Cause 3, showing that time has passed pretty well. This is on a physical level where he actually looks older, but also on a character level as well, where he's not that kind of cocky young man he was in Just Cause 3, where he's more of an aged, weathered, just want to get on with it, more mature man in Just Cause 4, and I kind of like that. Also the storyline thread connecting him with his dead father, while also giving Sheldon his kind of surrogate father redemption is a nice dynamic as well.
How's it feel? Having an army?
He's growing on me.
Seems like it. Well, I always thought leadership suited you, kid.
On top of this, all of the weather-specific final missions have their own distinct feel from one another, and all are epic and grand in their own way, from taking out the base surrounded in a perpetual lightning storm, to chasing a tornado in a weather chaser, which culminates in you staring a tornado in the face on the top of a skyscraper about to jump into it head first, to stealing a heavily armoured cannon to put on top of a train to assault a base surrounded by a perpetual artificial sandstorm. These missions are epic, massive, grand, and they're just so much fun to play. The final mission itself is just so much fun. You pilot a massive cannon, you've got all the weather mods to deal with, you've got a boss fight, all the characters throughout the entire story are in it.
Whatever it is, we should probably stop it before it launches.
It's just like so many levels and there's so many different things to do. It's just an all-out epic final mission that really stands up to what an epic final mission should be. The things I don't particularly like is that the lighting and movement are a bit suspect in places, but that's throughout the game, and I think it's more of a bug than anything. And I have seen on Twitter that Avalanche are going to be patching this anyway, so hopefully it won't be an issue coming forward in the later months and stuff. As for the side missions, the things I really enjoyed about the premise of the side missions is that they're not actually feeling like side missions because they give you things that advance you in the game. So for example, you've got the training missions, which are the yellow ones, which give you airlift and mod upgrades. These come in the form of destroying surveillance blimps above captured areas. They have their own specific missions leading up to one epic mission at the end, and also quite a fun, unique exploding pinata mission. And you also get pop-up events around the map, which come up as you're doing whatever, about assassinating undercover Black Hand operatives, or stealing a car that a Black Hand operative is about to get picked up in, and then wasting him by dropping the car off a bridge, or into the ocean, or into a building, or pretty much anything that just gets rid of the car. The great thing is you can get all of the airlifter mods without doing all the missions, but completing the missions gets you more weapons and vehicle supply drops, plus adds to your chaos meter as you're destroying stuff, so incentive is there to complete all the missions, and that's pretty decent as well. You've got the movie missions where you help the very eccentric Garland King complete her movie, which is very worth doing. It's probably one of the best parts of the game, to be honest, and they get you the booster mod upgrades as well. You can easily get all of the booster mod upgrades by doing 10 to 20% of all the challenges. The main missions are a nice welcome break from the constant explosions to have humour in them, and driving around the explosions instead of causing them. They also let you see a more awkward, vulnerable side of Rico, and Garland King is an excellent character voiced by Misty Lee, who does an amazing job at the character. And she happened to share with me on Twitter this video of her motion capture, so enjoy this side by side with the game, because it's really magical to see.
You take these, and I want you to... Details. Just plant them on the rust bucket and send that baby straight to the great dry dock in the sky.
King, what's this about frogs? That has nothing to do with my story.
Hey! Are you in?
I suppose I could.
Perfect! We'll get your agent a copy of the contract. You don't have an agent. We'll get you an agent. We're gonna do amazing things together, doll.
Okay.
Hey, Charlie! Fuck your story, alright?
One thing I will say about these is there's too many challenges. It just feels like a massive grind at the prospect of getting them all completed. But again, with completing these random challenges throughout the map, you do get vehicle supply drops and stuff, so it does dampen the feel of repetition and grind, but really it still is a massive grind to get them all done. And the third type is the ruined missions, the undercover tombs, whatever you want to call them, but these give you the tether mod upgrades. The things I am not quite fond of about these is they're quite hard to find some temples because they're not marked on the map. You have to find them, and they can be pretty hidden. I mean, when you do find them, you think, oh, how did I not see that? But then at the time you think, well, I did spend about an hour looking for it. When you find them, they're a welcome change from the game, and they're a fun little puzzle with some nice aesthetics to go through. Statues can be found, which add another element of exploration. It slows the game down to stop it from being numbing and lets you take in the scenery as you uncover hidden tombs lost throughout the region. Now let's go over weapons. They are stupid fun. All of them feel powerful in their own way. I didn't find any guns I didn't like. Not one. Another very, very welcome thing is the game gets rid of the Just Cause 3 system of having a handgun, rifle and some kind of launcher, and lets you have any combination of any two guns you like. Guns have an alternate fire as well, which adds more ways you can use them to kill people. My favourites are the lightning gun, which calls down lightning to strike all opponents in the area, which is very cool. The railgun, which deploys drones, and the defender, which gives you a mobile shield. They are so much fun. They are so much fun. Another quick addition to this review is I would like to say that the deluxe edition is very, very, very worth the money. The deluxe edition comes with a stealth jet, which is epic, and a weaponized wingsuit with a jet on your wingsuit, and missiles, infinite missiles on your wingsuit. And also, doing the wingsuit challenges for Garland King maxes out these, so you have 3 extended boost periods with your jet and 3 sets of infinite rockets, which is super overpowered. I highly recommend the deluxe edition. I use the weaponized wingsuit more than any gun, I think, from how epically awesome it is. Seriously, it's stupid fun, and it comes in so handy for missions, just to fly over a base, go boop boop boop. Oh, look, that's 12 missiles raining down on your base, and I didn't use any ammo. It's so much fun, and it's so good. I cannot overhype this enough. So before I get on to my final review and summary, I'm just going to go over a couple things that I had issue with in Just Cause 3, and I'll tell you if they've been fixed in Just Cause 4. Number 1, placing rockets was super slow and super buggy. By rockets I mean the explosives that had boosters on them. You don't have remote explosives in this game, and that's replaced by the mine launcher, which obviously is pretty instant, so this has been fixed. This is not an issue anymore. You can't have explosives and rockets at the same time on Just Cause 3. This has been fixed, because like I said, you don't have remote explosives anymore, you have the mine launcher gun. On top of this, they've made it better than better by having 3 separate loadouts you can customize with different combinations of the booster, tether and airlifter upgrades for your tether, as well as specific mod upgrades that can be changed for each of the 3 individual loadouts. You can get pretty creative with what you want to do, so this is a real big improvement, and it's actually an improvement on an improvement. So moving on, this one's fixed. Just Cause 3, the parachute was a bit weird, and I found it being kind of buggy and getting stuck in places and not being very maneuverable. Just Cause 4, the parachute is super maneuverable, super agile. I love it. It's so much better. It's fixed, it's fixed, it's fixed. Moving on. Just Cause 3, motorbikes were pretty unusable. Really disappointing that Just Cause 4 motorbikes, for me at least, are still unusable. I can't use them. They're so difficult to turn. I don't know how to use them. Maybe I'm using them wrong, but it's not fixed. It's just horrible. I don't like them. I can't use them. Just Cause 3, there were a lot of mods for different things like the bikes and the cars and the wingsuit and stuff that just felt like they weren't worth getting. The vast majority of upgrades in this game are worth getting, so I'd say this issue is fixed. I don't feel like I'm getting upgrades I'm not going to use anymore. I didn't get that feeling at all, so this is fixed. Also, the wingsuit damage, I'm not sure if it's really much lower than it was in Just Cause 3. I found myself dying sometimes in Just Cause 3 just by wingsuiting into the wrong thing. Unless you're like me and you're an absolute moron and you wingsuit into an exploding blimp, you're probably not going to kill yourself in a wingsuit anymore. I don't think the damage is that high. And finally, the super long ragdoll was a massive piss off for me in Just Cause 3. The ragdoll can be a bit of a problem sometimes in Just Cause 4, but I feel like they've toned it down a lot, so props to that. This one's pretty much fixed. Okay, so summary time. All in all, this game is a leap in the right direction. A leap and a bound in the right direction, actually. It's better than Just Cause 3, which in of itself is great. It's a game that's here to be played and for you to have fun, and it knows it. It doesn't waste your time with penalising mistakes or hindering choices. Instead it says, here's a bunch of cool stuff. Go blow something up with it. There are many missions to do, varied types of challenges which all prevent the game getting boring. The game has a varied list of different enemies which is balanced by giving an increased arsenal to you. You can call in a freaking wing cannon, AA gun and railgun for God's sake. In summary, this game is freaking amazing and I loved every minute of it. On launch there were many bugs and texture issues flagged by different people, and they're being addressed by the developers. They know about it. This game has bugs, yes. The game has weird AI at times, which can be annoying or hilarious depending on what side of the fence you're on. But all of these things, in my opinion, are insignificant when you weigh against how amazing this game is. If you don't agree, that's fine, but that's how I feel. I'm not really going to give this a rating out of 10 or anything. I'm just going to say go buy the damn game. It's brilliant. Also get Deluxe Edition. I mean, it's a lot of money to hook out on. I'm going to say if you like Just Cause 3 and you really like the Just Cause series, then you're going to love this game. And I'd highly recommend getting the Deluxe Edition. I'm going to say if you haven't bought a Just Cause game before and you don't want to spend like 40, 50, 60 pounds even to get the game, maybe get Just Cause 3 for about £7, see how you get on with that, and then if you like it then you can get Just Cause 4, but that's my opinion anyway. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Now Something Completely Different. We're back to mod madness as usual next week. I might drop a couple Just Cause 4 videos in the meantime, not part of a Now Something Completely Different, but just random videos. You never know, I might do, I might not. We'll see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review, and until next time, stay tuned for the next exciting episode of AxoniusRex.